So T1 Prima Truck Racing has been a journey of discovery every year. Every year we have been pleasantly surprising ourselves with what this can achieve. It started 2 years ago. That's why we call that year season one, where we were not sure how good the Prima trucks will measure up to race standards, and it came out brilliantly. I can say that confidently because this is what is the assessment of our consultant, which is the British Truck Racing Association. It is the overseas drivers who also drive these trucks, and they have said that these trucks are world class. The second year, we made it even better. We increased a lot of features. The power went up. The max speed went up from 110 in the first year to 140 kmph. But there has always been this thing at the back of our mind that this has to become meaningful for Indian drivers. So we set up on this journey about 6 months ago that we must have an Indian drivers race. But to be honest, till 3 months ago, I wasn't sure we will be able to do it. But I think what has come out is fantastic. We contacted all our key account truck customers. We started with a shortlist of over 500 drivers. These are drivers who drive trucks regularly. These are not race truck drivers. And there's a lot of skepticism. These people, are they really going to be able to, are we wasting their time? And is this something the company is really doing with good sense? So we trained them in Madras. The Madras Sri Perumbadur racetrack is easier to train. So we tested and trained them there. We kept shortlisting. Finally, we had a final shortlist who then came here about 10 days ago. And here we made the final selection of about 14 drivers. 12 will race tomorrow. Now, what is most amazing is our British consultant who's been very much involved with truck racing worldwide. He actually says that their lap times are only slightly below the best of the overseas. So while this year we are planning to have a separate Indian race, so there'll be two Indian races and there'll be two international races. One is the semi-final, the one is the final. So we'll have 4 races in total. So that's really the excitement. I think it's historic. These are people who did not dream about getting into truck racing 6 months ago. Today, they are actually celebrities. Their families are very proud people. It's a bit like a big cricket star or a movie star whose first movie or first match becomes a hit and then his life changes. So this is what we are expecting with these people, and I think we have an exciting future ahead.
So how does it help you, creating a brand, a Tata Trucks brand, which is futuristic and full of modern technologies? How does it help you build that brand?
So today we are in a very hyper-competitive situation in India. I would say India is one of the most open markets in the world. There are at least 8 brands competing in the medium and heavy commercial vehicle space. And we are trying to defend 60% market share, which we feel very confident of doing that. So what are the things we need to do that? One is, on top of our heritage of being a trusted Indian brand which is loved by customers and truckers because it is capable of Indian conditions, overloading, etc. But the things are changing. Overloading is not anymore a requirement. A lot of foreign technology is coming in. So we need to prove ourselves as a technology leader. And with Prima and Prima being raceworthy, we are saying that actually this truck is as good as any in the world. So that's one. Second is, racing has always been associated with a glamour. So building on our image of traditional and with a huge heritage, we are saying that we can also be very glamorous and modern. Our trucks look modern. We can participate in modern events, and we can create an event like this where there will be 50,000 people cheering, and there is no better spectacle than seeing a truck race on the straight, because I've seen both car racing and bike racing. So I think we are connecting to our customers by doing driver racing this year. There's a lot of talk about driver training, how are we helping the shortage of drivers, and there are various models, but this is, I think, the ultimate, where these 14 or 20 drivers, they become role models. Next year, people wanting to join. So brand, customer connect, and technology also at the same time, I think is working beautifully for us.
So what's your outlook on the commercial vehicle market growth in the coming financial year? Also, can you throw some light on the pricing and discounting trends going forward?
Well, we are talking at a time when things are starting to look much better. We had a fairly difficult 2 years, 2013, 14, 14, 15. But last year has been good. But till 6 months ago, I was cautious in forecasting that. I was saying it's mostly replacement demand, which is pent up. But now we can see the green shoots of the economy because construction tippers, which were dull, have also picked up. So we are seeing mining recovering. Infrastructure, government push on infrastructure is seeing the light of day. And after the monsoon, which is when tippers start picking up, I think they are driving the growth. The regulations are also creating some incentive to buy. Southern region is going to BS4 from 1st April, and from 1st April 17, all the national permit vehicles will also have to move to BS4. So if I look at the next 12 to 14 months, things look quite promising for MNHCV. The other segments which were slow to pick up, I think in January, March quarter, we are seeing those segments also recovering. But this is on a low base. MNHCV is growing on a high base. The other segments are recovering on a low base. But overall, we will still have good growth in all the segments. So I think it's looking fairly strong for the next year.
Is it about the pricing and discount trends? If you can give us some outlook on that.
Yeah, that is an irony because normally when the market picks up, there's a demand and customers have to wait for vehicles. You would expect the discount to go down, but it's not happening because while we are almost up to 80-90% of our MNHCV capacity, there are various players who are still below 50%. Between 2009 to 15, a lot of new truck capacity has come into the country, existing players as well as new players. So if I look at the unutilized capacity, there are still a lot of people discounting and trying to find a foothold. And given that we are trying to keep 60% market share, we can't be out of it also. But I think the last 12 months, we have reached a balance on market share versus discount. We have the role of a price leader. So if we start discounting heavily, we drag the whole market down. So which is why I'm not really interested in talking about whether market share went down for 1 or 2 months or not. We need to see it over a 6-month period. And in the October-March period, our market share is moving up. We've reached an equilibrium with discount as well as sales pressures.
One last question to you. You have recently signed an agreement with Bharat Forge, an US-based company, for participating in future infantry combat vehicle projects. What is the future going forward? When are you going to bid, and to which all tenders you are going to bid for this FICV projects?
See, the bigger picture is that defense privatization is actually going to be a big theme. When we talk about Make in India, automobiles have been made in India for a long time. We have always made in India, but even multinationals, they make in India. They make in India and export also. So the Make in India as a different story is really around defense, because a lot of defense procurement in the last 40 years has been from overseas buyers. And now the government is getting confidence that Indian private sector can participate. We have been having a modest defense turnover for a long time. We've been supplying logistics trucks and buses, in the green khaki color of defense. But the breakthrough happened last year when a vehicle which we gave on trial, which is a 6x6 material handling crane, trial 3 years ago, finally it was approved as the best vehicle. The price bid was opened, and we finally on 31st March 2015, we got an order for about 1200 vehicles. The value is worth 900 crores, one single order. So that gives you an example of what defense turnover might mean going forward. We have a number of vehicles under trial right now. There are various products which are already under trial, different platforms. I can't talk about it, but they're all 6x6, 8x8s, mine protected vehicles, armored vehicles. It takes a long time because they go through desert trial as well as winter trials in places like Leh, Ladakh and Kashmir. So all that is in the offing. The FICV, which you talk about around the consortium we have formed with Bharat Forge and General Dynamics, is really the government's effort to look at local procurement of tanks, futuristic infantry combat vehicles. So we are definitely one of the people in the running. So it's a consortium because we can only provide mobility. A lot of things about the vehicle have to be provided by partners. So it is a consortium of 3 private companies, but a lot of Tata Group companies are also part of it. If you see the bid which we submitted to the government, it's a huge document, very painstakingly constructed. Besides the consortium partners, we have to mention all our partners who will supply and aid us in the development. And that's a big number. Many of them are Tata Group companies, but some of them are private also. So let's see that. I think that will get opened sometime later in the year. We'll know where we stand. I think there will be 2 or 3 people who will be shortlisted finally.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.